How do you structure your day? How do you decide what's a priority for you, man?
Yeah, I mean, usually the biggest priority at the beginning of the day is.
Here is an interview I did back in the day with Meet Kevin. There is a lot of great golden nuggets here you guys can get to take away. How he runs a successful business, multi-million-dollar business actually. How he runs a YouTube channel with almost 2 million subscribers. And at the same time, how he's able to keep the balance between family and business matters and make it seem like nothing is going on the outside. My favorite clip here is how he mentioned he takes these ambitious and huge goals and he takes them on gracefully. And he always thinks they're gonna succeed, but even if they fail, he does take them on and he kind of bites more than he can handle, but at the end he always goes for it because that's the most important thing. You guys enjoy this clip and please share it with somebody that might also find it helpful. I got you guys soon and enjoy.
How you doing?
Good. Thank you so much for joining this. So I saw investing in YouTube. I'd love to hear what you got, and we'll chat.
Man, you're amazing, dude. First of all, do you like my Teslas here? Look.
Sorry, let me see. Let me look in full here. Oh, look
There
at
you go.
that. Yeah, we got Teslas on the sides. Oh, I really like that. Look at that. That's awesome, man.
How do you structure your day? That's my first question. How do you structure your day? How do you decide what's a priority for you, man?
Yeah, I mean, usually the biggest priority at the beginning of the day is trying to understand everything that I can understand that happened in the market. So somewhere between 4:45 to say 6, when I'm working on researching just the latest updates. Then I try to post, a video after a live stream in the morning, somewhere around, probably 7 to 8:30 or so. And then I have a course member live at 8:30 to 9:30 or so. This is obviously weekdays, not weekends. And then my goal is to do more deep research. So I spend a lot of time reading. I do a lot of that reading anywhere between 9:30 to 11:30 or so. I usually like to go on a short run around lunch just to get sort of excited again about the day and get re-energized. And then we'll get market close, and I'll get into earnings calls, and I'll read earnings reports the afternoon, look for analyst reports and research. And, some of that goes into videos in the same day, which can get put together pretty quickly. Some of it goes into videos the next day.
Let me ask you something. So you used to be, I don't know if you changed that, but you used to be like one man does it all, right? But I see you now, you kind of changing, right? Like you try to get more employees, right? Because it's impossible.
Yeah. It's there's a limit to how many employees you can really, in my opinion, have for the creative side of YouTube, because there's you're sort of limited by how much energy you have to make videos. And if I use all my energy to make my own videos by myself, then I don't have that much energy left to go film around with a big team or whatever. So right now I just have one person that helps me, and he's amazing. Yeah, I mean the biggest thing is obviously I started making YouTube before I ever thought YouTube would make any money. For me, it wasn't about making money. It was just sort of like sharing my perspective. And if I could, if I went to a client and they're like, oh, you have this TV commercial from 2014. Oh, and you have 20,000, 30,000 subscribers on YouTube. Oh, that's so cool. Hey, I want to list my house with you and sell it. That was always the goal for me. It was just sort of this fringe benefit of hey, if I could provide value online, great. I can sell more real estate. Or another one was for me, if I could provide value to first-time home buyers, put it in a YouTube video, and I could just say to a first-time home buyer, hey, make sure you watch all these videos on YouTube here, so that way you're prepared for what we're going to be doing in the actual buying process. Then that would save me hours of work sitting at a coffee shop with them, explaining the same thing over and over and over again individually, which could just be in a video. So that's kind of where it started for me. It was just this relentless desire of providing value for people. And really, I was not looking at it as oh, everybody online. It was really looking at it as only provide value to people who could potentially be my clients. That obviously, people seem to like that online. And so then only when things sort of transition to where it's wow, okay, YouTube can actually pay more than real estate, did it make sense to just try to provide even more value online and kind of double or triple down on YouTube.
So, okay. And then when did you start optimizing for money? Because, at some point you realize that, holy crap, this can make a lot of money, right? So was this after a certain point or?
Well, I mean, I don't know that the goal generally is what are people wanting? And so the goal starts with solving what it is that they're wanting. So if they're curious about stocks, then how can you provide value there that nobody else is doing, right? If they're just CNBC headlines, I don't really think anybody's providing value by doing that. And so it has to be deeper information where they watch a video of yours and they're like, oh my gosh, wow, I never realized that, or I never thought about that perspective, or never heard that statistic before. That's really useful. If you're providing value in real estate, for example, hey, here's a great way to buy a home for less than it's actually worth, where you can instantly build your net worth. Those are things that provide a lot of value to the audience. And so that's a tough thing to figure out how to do, because there are a lot of people trying to provide information on YouTube. And so breaking out and figuring out, hey, this is my niche, this is what people want, is a tough thing. Usually what I recommend is you make 10 videos and you try to provide a lot of value in each of them, and see which one your audience responds best to, or which one people come to. Get 10 videos out, wait a couple weeks, look back and say, all right, what do people want more of, and do that.
What is it for you? Is it family balance? Is it family merging with work? Like, how do you find this thing, man? Because this is a hard thing to do, bro.
Yeah, no, it's not easy. I think you've kind of got to. You certainly have to set a time where you're going to stop work, right? I think that's one of the most important things that's worked well for me. So, for example, if I say, hey, today we're leaving the house at 4:30 and we're going to Dave & Buster's or whatever, or I'm taking the kids to Chuck E. Cheese or whatever. Well, now my goal is to get all my work done before that. So I get really motivated to get work done before that. If there's nothing on the calendar, then there's sometimes a little less motivation to get work done, and then it ends up slipping over to the next day. So oftentimes I find just sort of tricking myself into, okay, well, there's a commitment coming up, let's get done as much as we can. That helps a lot.
I see. That's good advice. You know what else I was thinking? Like right before you came on, I wanted to ask you this. So, you see every year you seem to have something that makes you bite more than you can handle. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Like last year you did the governor thing. Now this year you're doing this Series A. Like, seems so. Like, do you have a blueprint? Like, because you tackle these goals that they're so big and audacious, and it seems like, why would you even try?
Well, I wouldn't try them unless I thought that they were going to be wildly successful. No, they don't always end up being wildly successful. So I'm always trying to think to myself, okay, what's next? What can I do next that's bigger and better, and just constantly growing? I think ultimately that's what we're all looking for, is growth, and then hopefully success, although failure happens a lot too. So but that's just part of the game. So if you fail early is sort of the best thing that can happen, because then you can go in a different direction. But yeah, I mean, look, there's always a desire to grow, and so I get excited by that idea. And yeah, you're right. It's always something else.
Dude, I remember in the beginning, like, you used to focus your energy on Grant Cardone and all these people. I'm like, why is he doing this to himself? But now you seem like you channeled the right way. It's great, man. And I see that. It's like your motivation to get out of bed, right? Something like that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, markets are fun. They're constantly changing. I really like that. And even with the Cardone days, it was always fun. Like I'd have a title or whatever, Cardone exposed or whatever. But in the video, I always made sure to be really respectful. Like, wow, this is brilliant. This is how he really makes money. Oh, this is really interesting. Like, Cardone says you shouldn't buy a house. Here's why I have a different opinion or whatever. But I never, wanted to go out and just sort of do like the slander kind of videos where you get people that are like, oh, someone's a scam, or this is just wrong. Like that kind of stuff is just really bad. You don't want to go down that road.
So what's next for you, man? Now, what's next?
Yeah, well, I mean, the next thing is really just dialing in how we're going to work the Series A. That's the biggest plan. But yeah, otherwise, content. Can we make good content while we're traveling? What can we do? How can we do it? So that's what we're excited about.
How do you manage that? Because you see, I have a studio too, and I know how easy it is to just push something out here. But when you're traveling, how do you do it? Like, do you rent I was thinking maybe you rent a separate room and then you go to the room and then you do your work and then go back to your family, or how do you do it?
Traveling's a lot harder. And usually, I mean, the easiest for me would be just using my iPhone and plugging in a microphone so I have good audio. That's actually an easy way to just, if you're alone doing it yourself, you just run and gun that way. That's an easy way to do it because then you have high quality audio, you've got a high quality picture, and you just have to treat it like a live stream in that case. Like, all right, I'm gonna do a 10-minute live stream. Here's my thought or whatever. So that's the travel way.
That's great. These are great insights. You know what I want to ask you more too? Like, how was Texas? Like, did you because like I want to get an insider's perspective. I saw all your updates, but like, what did because I saw by the way too, you sent an alert. You bought, and I knew that you bought Tesla at a high, right? Do you remember that? One day you were there, you're hyped about Tesla, and you bought Tesla at 1,000
Sure.
something, right?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
And I knew that you could get it cheaper, but you just chose to buy it because you don't care for the short term, probably, right? So
Well,
like,
no, it's not that you don't care about the short term.
Mhm.
It's I think the expectation was that they were going to wildly blow earnings out of the water,
Okay.
which they really did.
Yeah.
But even though they blew earnings out of the water, they
Mhm.
still ended up falling 30 something percent. So it sucks. Sometimes that happens. But I think if it weren't for the Fed tightening cycle we were in, they'd probably be a $1,500 stock.
Oh yeah.
So for me, if anything, this weird thing happens where, like, if you buy this stock that you're enamored with it in a fundamental way at a higher level, and then it falls, it's a great opportunity to sort of just average down, because then your
Yeah.
basis gets dragged down, and really you could sort of dilute your higher purchase by buying more lower. And it's a fantastic thing, because then you end up with more shares. Now, obviously, if you look back in hindsight, would it just be easier to just wait and be patient? Totally. And patience is one of the hardest things in stocks. Like,
It
you
is,
have
man.
money and it just burns a hole in your pocket, and you're like, I got to deploy it. And then, like, usually if you rush, you make a mistake. And I think that was a little bit rushed.
But what did you see that did you see things that blew your mind, or like, because I got the general idea, but like what like blew your mind there?
Well, I don't know that it was so much that like what was seen there was what was mind blowing. I think it was more of, oh my gosh, if we take this model and this blueprint for this factory and the machinery, and we copy and paste it, which they will, all of the estimates that Tesla has forecast for earnings growth, for production growth, they're all going to get blown out of the water. And so really, 30% here or there is going to be nominal, compared to if in the next decade we have, or even in the next 5 years, we have somewhere between 10 new gigafactory announcements. This is not a matter of a 30% swing anymore. This is a 3 to 4x. So it's pretty wild.
That's all I do. Like at some point you were talking about it, and you're like, why do I do anything else? That's all I do. I just do Tesla and Google. I'm done.
There you go.
No,
Great companies.
Like Enphase is nice too. I know you like it too. Celsius I like too, but I'm not touching them. And this market, it's a big mess.
Yeah, and Enphase has been, in personal opinion, has been it's kind of been holding up its value, but that actually kind of makes it a little less desirable to buy.
Yeah, because then if we have another downturn, then this is gonna give it up too. Like it's
They
just,
have more to fall. Yeah.
like it's crazy. Okay, last question for you, because I want to be respectful to your time, man. So I saw you started as a YouTube as a real estate guy on YouTube, right?
Yeah.
And then you made a switch on stocks, and like for me, like it makes sense too. Like it's so much easier. There's no closing, no due diligence. But like, were you always like that, or like at some point you're like, okay, this is the way I want to go? Like,
Well, I think it depends on sort of where you think the market cycle is. So for
Okay.
me, it was obvious, at the end of 2018, that there were great deals in stocks, because the market was so low. So I was plowing money into stocks. The same was true for real estate back in 2011. In 2011, the stock market already bottomed in 2009, and real estate was just bottoming in 11 and the beginning of 2012. So for us, we're like, oh my gosh, we got to get our hands on as much real estate as possible. Now, I've been selling real estate and throwing all that money into stocks, because I think stocks are approaching a bottom, whereas real estate is kind of near a top. So I think it really depends on sort of where I think the macro cycle is, and that's what makes me most excited.
I love it, man. Thank you so much, brother. I really appreciate you, man.
For sure, man. We'll have to do a meetup. Thanks, man.
Let's do it. I love you, brother.
Thanks.
Keep grinding.